what is the impact of change in 2022? I mean, every year we cross over a new year and we talk about reset buttons and we talk about, starting again. But what's important is about implementation. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another session of Visualize with Vik. Please don't forget to subscribe and to click on the notification button so that you get updated as to when we load new items onto YouTube. And I'm hoping these are going to create some levels of imagination for you, some levels of thinking for you, because I think what we all need to be doing is visualizing a better future, particularly those of us who are living in South Africa. And as we start this sort of third month, because we're probably heading close to March when you watch this, I'm interested in understanding that now we're 2 months down, what is the impact of change in 2022? I mean, every year we cross over a new year and we talk about reset buttons and we talk about, starting again. But what's important is about implementation. And I'm interested to know 2 months down the line, how are things being implemented and what changes are we seeing? And one of the areas I'd like to actually talk about is this construct, which I actually sent out a poster on not too long ago, which is the concept of the difference between looking for a job and an opportunity. For those of you who didn't see it, what had happened was a good friend of mine called Derek Nzonelli, we were sitting just having a chat. And one of the things that he said was, we should be informing and teaching and educating young people not to look for jobs, but to look for opportunities. And I found that quite fascinating. I actually asked him to back up. Let's just talk about that again. What do you mean by that? And the point that he was getting at is that a job is an expectation that you have. An opportunity is something that you look for. And when we look for jobs, we still have this expectation of something coming to us. But when we look for opportunities, it's very different, because what we do is we try to then think of solutioning for those opportunities. And what happens is that when you start beginning to think about opportunities and the constructs of solutioning for opportunities, you then start building models in your mind as to how you're going to deliver those solutions. And the next phase after delivering solutions is this construct of being sure that you can model in there some commercial element to it that gives you some kind of financial benefit. Because remember, when somebody has a need, in more cases than one, they're prepared to pay for a solution for that need. And, this construct of, hunting for jobs means that there's a waiting period, right? You hand in your CV or you go through applications, etc. And once you've submitted, you wait. And when you are solutioning, there is no waiting period. Solutioning is a constant engagement of trying to find some kind of answer to something that's required. And that's what we should be teaching young people. And combined with that, when you look at the platforms that we have for delivery, which are digital, it means that some of the solutioning that you can do at very low cost. You can do them virtually and digitally. Logistics is becoming to be a very big area in which delivery, and that means the physical delivery of certain things, can be actually encapsulated. So we have an age and a period and a time, despite how difficult it is, that's creating massive opportunities. And one of the challenges is that we're not seeing these opportunities because we're still using antiquated models and methodologies of figuring out how it is that we're going to be able to finance, or how we're going to be able to earn whatever it is that we need to earn and whatever it is that we need to be doing. So it's important that we continue to instill within ourselves, but also within the youth, these constructs of new ways of engaging with society in order to deal with some of the challenges and societal challenges that we have around employment. One of the things that comes up quite constantly that I use as a statistic, and I'm sure I've used it a couple of times in YouTube, is this fact that in the United States, when we think of the United States as this massive economy, as this engine that's really fueling the world's global GDP, innovation, and all sorts of other things, when we think about it, we tend to always think about it from the construct that it is these big businesses, the Facebooks and the Amazons and the Apples, that are driving it. And there's no, it's actually true, actually, that they are playing a considerable factor. But one of the things that we miss about the United States is the impact of small business, right? I think at the last statistics I was having a look at, 31 million small businesses in the United States. And small businesses are defined as businesses that employ less than 500 people. But what was even more staggering for me is that of that 31 million businesses, 24 million are one-man businesses. 24 million businesses in the US are one-man businesses. And it's under 200,000 businesses that employ more than 500 people. Your big Amazons, your big Googles, etc., etc. Now, the United States is built up of small businesses. And actually, if you go into Europe and do the analysis there, it's exactly the same thing. So coming back to this construct of solutioning for the possibilities that are out there means that we can create small businesses, one-man businesses, the ability to be able to deliver for what solution is required or for what challenge is required. And I think that's kind of the mental space we need to be in. Sometimes I'm a little concerned with this word entrepreneurship. I know there's a specific definition to it, but I'm concerned about the interpretation of it within the constructs of particularly some of our younger folk. Because if you go back to what you're trying to do when you're running a business, all you're trying to do is earn enough finances or to earn finances in order to be sustainable, right? And that's sustainable both from a personal point of view, from a business point of view, and if you're employing people from their perspective. That's all you're doing. When I recall back in the day of growing up in certain parts of Europe, I just remember the mama papa shops. I remember the butcher, which was a one-man shop. I remember the bakery. I remember the fishmonger. I remember the cobbler. These guys were not really necessarily thinking of themselves as entrepreneurs. What they were thinking of is, I have a skill, I have a capability, and with that capability, I'm going to deliver a solution. And with that solution, I'm going to earn something from it. And I think that construct of looking for opportunities that are out there, vis-a-vis looking for jobs that you're waiting to come to you, is something that I'd like to leave you with in terms of how we can visualize the future and a better future for ourselves. So with that, I'd like to end off and say thank you very much for listening to that. And once again, don't forget to subscribe and be part of Valuate, where we have a lot of these conversations and discussions in even more depth through our different courses. Take care.